Shutterstock Music.
All right, welcome to another episode of Black College Experience. It is Sunday, February 18th, 4 days after Valentine's Day. I am one half of your Black College Experience team, Derek Thomas, down here in Baton Rouge, and we have the founder of Black College Experience in Atlanta, Queen Diva Keisha Kelly. What's going on, Kels?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I am doing fine. We had a little bit of rain here in Baton Rouge, but other than that, I mean, pretty nice and mild weekend. Of course, this weekend is a big weekend for a certain movie that just came out.
Yes, it is. And, we'll start it off. Of course, we got to pay homage to, right now, I think they say it's at a record-breaking $341 million. Of course, Chadwick Boseman is a Howard University alumnus. So we got to pay homage to, of course, the HBCU grad, of course. They got a couple of people in there that's designers. I think one of the ladies that designed some of those, some of the uniforms or some of the costumes they're wearing, I think she's out of Clark, Atlanta. So, it's a lot going on. And props to Black Panther. I haven't gotten out to see it because of my schedule, and I've been under the weather, but I am getting out to see it this week. I'm very excited to see so many people dressed in African apparel, hair wrapped up, dashikis, whatever it takes to get us on one accord. I'm very excited to see this. And being that even though it is, Marvel, it's comic, the comic book here, it's very good, and it's a breath of fresh air to see an all-black cast and to see this much success behind it. So props to, of course, again, Black Panther. So many people have gotten, even children. And like I said the other day, just a little bit about it since you said it, a little bit about this for people that don't know. It's so many people, celebrities that are in the community that have purchased tickets. You have Kendrick Lamar that has bought out theaters. You have Octavia Spencer. You have T.I. It's so many people that have actually bought out theaters, to actually, got on board to help do this. And so, it's a good thing to see this type of thing going on. So props out again to Black Panther, the movie.
I mean, I think it's awesome. I mean, you have a movie called Black Panther, and its leading star is an HBCU alum. I just think that is awesome. And I have seen the movie. I'm probably going to go see it again.
That's how good I hear it is. That's how good I hear it is. I mean, one of my friends, he's like, he's on time number 3. And I'm like, dude, I ain't even got the time number 1.
And for our listeners that are tuning in, I know we mostly talk about sports, but we are more than HBCU sports. We are HBCU all the way around. Sports, entertainment, education, politics. Anything that our HBCUs alums are doing, we are for it. And like we said, the star is an HBCU alum out of Howard, and I just think that is awesome. I'm a big fan of his. I've watched a lot of his movies. I've seen Marshall. I've seen James Brown movie he was in. I've seen 42. He is a phenomenal actor with a lot of range, and to say that he is from an HBCU, that is stating that, hey, maybe the next great actor can also come from an HBCU, Kels. Right.
So, again, props out to that, and we'll just watch as it grosses more and more over the weeks. I'm the late person, so we will get into it. Now, getting into this show, some other stuff that is going on, I would say for the HBCU culture, for the HBCUs this week, tomorrow, kicking it off tomorrow. This has been a long-awaited thing. We are going to have Angela McCrae calling in this second part of the show. She is from Fireflight Media. She is the HBCU communications manager, and they are responsible for this film tomorrow, HBCU Rising. I am overjoyed. I am so thrilled. I am so excited to talk about this film that is coming out tomorrow. Of course, I've already saw it. I saw it back in November, but everyone will get to see this film that comes out tomorrow. HBCU Rising will show tomorrow at 9 p.m. That's Eastern time. And then, of course, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So what's happening tomorrow, or what's happening, she's going to come on and tell us a little bit about it. But it does tell the story of HBCUs. Of course, I got excited because my school is highlighted heavy in there, so of course I'm excited. But it's one of those, I can't give it away. You have to see it. Also, tomorrow, for people that do not know, February 12th, 1988 was the day that School Days was released. That was 30 years ago. Tomorrow, Spike Lee will be in Atlanta, Georgia. We'll be here at the Fox Theater, so we're heading over to the Fox so we can actually watch School Days and hopefully get a picture or two with Spike Lee. So that's we're doing the whole nine. You can either rep your fraternity, sorority stuff. You can rep your college stuff. I'm going in there with my Mission College shirt on, with my Southern University sweater, and my Black College Experience pen on a hat. So,
yes,
you know,
you're
we're just going to rep it out.
Down.
Gonna be in there just going to rep it out. So we're excited. That's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So we're excited about all the different things that are going on just for HBCUs in general. To see this is like a breath of fresh air, because we see so much negative stuff and so many negative things going on. And just to see this type of thing just happening for HBCUs right now is like a breath of fresh air. So, okay, so let's hop into some of these sports. We have a lot going on with sports.
Exactly.
Which conference did you want to start with?
Well, we roll a dice. I mean, we're running it toward the end of football season, so we got a few football stories still remaining. So I wanted to talk about those.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I saw a tweet on Unadon's that said that, you know, Hampton football will not play any MEAC games this year, and they also don't have any Big South games. Well, I cannot find Hampton's football schedule. As HBCUs across the country are releasing their football schedules, you don't have a football schedule for Hampton. And as we know, Hampton has a new coach, Coach Prunty, who's, you know, trying to get his program on the right track. At this state, at this, you know, time of the year, for them not to have a full schedule, I mean, that's going to create some problems. I mean, you have to have a schedule if you want to play football. So I'm wanting to see, you know, what's going to happen here. There's a lot of people, you know what I'm saying?
Well, what's going on is because they switched over conference, it's the stuff, I guess they're rehashing is what you want to say. Because I guess they're still trying to go back and forth as to what to do with it. Because I remember talking to Paula, and I remember her talking about this. Because it was like, okay, well, which side will you play on? And I was thinking that they would still be on the MEAC side, is what I was thinking.
Well,
and then when
go ahead. Well, they're an official member now of as July 1st, 2018. They will be an official member of the Big South. So,
and that's why it's confusing that they're not playing any MEAC games, because, you know, football schedules are normally done.
Right.
So I guess we'll just have to find out what's going on there. Yeah, that is.
Maybe we can get Paula to come on and call in and talk to us about it if she can. You know.
Because mostly what everybody's looking for a football schedule, not just to see the opponent, but everybody's scheduling travel. Everybody schedules travel at this time. And this is when you start to figure out, okay, am I going to this game, how travel is set up, not only according to the games, but also according to your rooming and group rates and things like that. So everybody is basically looking for, like you said, a football schedule. Everybody's looking for a football schedule.
And then you also have rivalries, Norfolk State, Howard. I mean, a lot of fans were upset that Hampton left the MEAC, but Hampton had said they had to do what they felt was best for them. The president said he didn't look at it as a risk but a gamble. I mean, leaving your conference that you've been in 20 years is always going to be positive and negative behind it. And like I said, they left. I mean, normally you announce that you're leaving the conference and then you leave like the next year or 2 years after. They're leaving less than a full calendar year after they made their announcement. They made their announcement in November. July 1st, they're a Big South member. So, I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. You know, how this will play out. One thing we know, Hampton will be playing football this year. I'm confident to say they will have a schedule. We don't know who all they're going to play, so hopefully we'll have that available to us so we can talk about Hampton's schedule, the teams that they play, and so on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what do you think about this situation? I mean, if you were
Again, I think it's, you're getting into, even though it's early, it's still early for us, but for people that's planning travel, if you look across the board and you see that everybody else has already released the schedule, and even in the SWAC, you had late releases of Alcorn just coming, Jackson State coming out, Graham, like the later people. Then you have people that have schedules where it's not completed. I'd rather have a complete schedule than an incomplete schedule that you just put out there for me. But people are looking for it, once again, because they're trying to figure out their travel arrangements and how they're going to travel. And, you book across the board. But I think it's very important, because what happens now is one season starts, another season ends, and you start looking at, what happens is you just had signing day. So with signing day being out of the way, where are they committing to? You telling me you come into a football team, but who are you're playing, but what schools are you playing? So I think that's something that you definitely have to go ahead and put on the table, because it's going to be a question not only for fans, it's going to be a question across the board.
I agree with you, Kels. I mean, it's something that, we're just going to have to see how it plays out, how this affects the MEAC with Hampton leaving, how this affects the Big South with Hampton joining, and thirdly, how it affects Hampton as they try to piece together their football schedule for 2018.
Right.
So, up next, and I was supposed to have some Braves called in. They asked me, they want to know what I thought about their coaching hires, and they hired some coaches on the defensive side of the ball. Still have some coaches to hire on the offensive side of the ball, but Coach McNair, Fred McNair, the first Air McNair, has added some quality coaches to his defensive staff. He promoted linebackers coach Cedric Thornton to be the defensive coordinator. And he's been with McNair for 3 years now. This is going to be his third season. So he's familiar with the Alcorn system. He knows what McNair wants to do. So that's some stability there. But it's the coaches that he brought in that, sit with me. Elliot Radney, and this is his third season with the football program. He's a tight ends and fullbacks coach, and he will now be head of recruiting for the Braves. He plays a vital role in Alcorn's recruiting. Alcorn signed 20 student athletes for this past year. Radden came to Alcorn to spend his first 7 seasons at Indiana University, working on both sides of the ball. So you have a quality coach who stays with Alcorn, and then you give him a title of head of recruiting. So this is a coach who has recruited at the highest level of college football, staying with Alcorn. Up next is Damon Frenchers, who has spent the last 29 seasons coaching football on the defensive side of the ball. At several HBCUs, he served the last 3 years as a defensive line coach, which stands at Lions College, Arkansas Pine Bluff, and North Carolina A&T. He's a very experienced coach. He coached against Alcorn in the Celebration Bowl in 2015, so he is familiar with Alcorn. He's just an HBCU veteran. He's a young coach, but he has experience. He also coached Robert Porcher, of HBCU legend, who spent 13 seasons in the NFL and recorded 95.5 sacks. So, some quality coaches added to the Alcorn defensive side of the ball. I think McNair is trying to, right the ship, per se. That's why he went ahead and promoted Thornton defensive coordinator. He also added Stephen Moore. He comes to Alcorn, spending the last 17 years as the defensive backs coach at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. He has NFL experience. He served as a scout for the New England Patriots and in player development with the Cleveland Browns. He also worked with the Miami Dolphins and 3 years at LSU. I mean, Alcorn had a weakness stopping the pass last year. To bring in someone like Moore, who has experience coaching at the NFL level, experience coaching unsuccessful college coaches, this is a good hire. He is an Ole Miss graduated from Ole Miss in 2003. So I just think that, McNair is trying to right that ship on the defensive side of the ball. Now, waiting this late in the game to hire your offensive coaches, he must have something brewing. We all know McNair knows offense. That's his game. He may be the offensive coordinator this year. He may be the play caller. So he's probably just looking to add coaches on the side of the ball that fit what he's looking to do. So hiring an offensive coordinator this late in the game is not unheard of, but I mean, spring ball is around the corner. Spring football is coming. So, you need to go ahead and hire your offensive coordinator. That's why I think McNair's going to have a heavy hand in the offensive preparation for Alcorn this year, because right now Alcorn does not have an offensive coordinator. So, what do you think about these staff additions, Kels?
I always think that when you get in a situation where you clean house, that means you're bringing in better. And that's always how I look at any situation. When you start cleaning things out, that means that you apparently have something better in store. You have a better action plan. And again, exactly. Like you said, it's getting later into the game, but I'm pretty sure that he has some things that he's working on, or rather some things he's been working on, and just some finalizations that he has that we're just waiting to see. Things probably have already been finalized, but he just hadn't put it out there yet. They hadn't made it public yet. But it's some things that I'm pretty sure that Alcorn's working on, and some things because, we can look over the time and we can see where Alcorn has landed time and time again every season as far as, the SWAC East. So I'm pretty sure that, he pretty much knows exactly what he's going to do. It just hasn't been made public yet.
Right. And the thing is, and to close out this topic, I mean, Alcorn is still the king of the SWAC East. Who will anybody be to catch them? Has Jackson State improved enough with their new coaching hires and their recent recruiting class to catch Alcorn? What about the Bamas? You know what I'm saying? Have they done enough? And my alma mater, Mississippi State University, with our new coach, you know what I'm saying? Have we done enough to catch Alcorn or to even compete on the football field? I guess we'll see. But right now, Alcorn, as much as I hate to say it, they are the kings of the SWAC East. I mean, someone has to dethrone them. Right now we don't have divisions anymore for right now because we don't have a championship game. But that's up. But if we still had the same model that we have now, Alcorn would still be the kings of the SWAC East, and you have to dethrone them for a chance to play in the SWAC championship game when it comes back. And yes, I do feel like it will come back very soon. We do have a caller on the line, my line brother Patrick Perry. What's going on, PP?
Hey, yeah, y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, you said the SWAC championship game. For 1 year, it's going to be on the campus of the school that wins their division, that has the best record. So. Okay, so we still gonna have the divisions. We did okay, good. I sure hope. I don't want to. I mean, I think it should be an essential location, but I don't make the decisions. Yeah, so I guess they just go figure that out for this year. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I did hear that. I didn't know if it was in stone yet. I did see that. We did have discussions about that. I'm not fond of the idea. I mean, because Grambling is the champ.
It's just gonna be 1 year, so I can deal with it for 1 year.
You gonna go to Grambling for a SWAC championship game?
Ooh, what if Valley won?
Oh boy, Caleb, what if Valley end up winning the SWAC East? What would you say to that?
Well, I mean, I nothing. I show up. I just show up and root on.
That would be one SWAC championship game that I'm definitely gonna be showing up to, and I'm gonna be showing up with my chest popped out.
I think if that was the case, I think honestly, 200%. I believe that the entire SWAC would get behind Valley for that. Like, I think everybody would get behind y'all for that game.
I would hope so. But people, we were talking about Alcorn's coaching additions. Have you had a chance to review that article?
Yeah. I guess it's just like with us, man. I mean, I guess going into the next season, we know Noah Johnson going to be probably the quarterback. Can you get where either McNair or the whoever it is, can they work with him enough? You know what I'm saying? Can they tailor their offense around him? Because I mean, in my opinion, he's a better overall
passer better overall passer.
Yeah. So I mean, if they can, ride the shit with him, they're going to go into next season as the favorite as usual.
All right. So we're done with football right now. We're gonna stay in the SWAC, jumping into basketball. And as of right now,
before we do that, let's go ahead and take a commercial break before we jump into that.
All right, we will be right back in 31 seconds with more Black College Experience.
I already knew that I was gonna go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science. After that, I'm going to get my law degree. Then I'm going to come back to Detroit, boost the economy, become the mayor or something, try to make the situation better for other people. I feel like I owe it to the city. I'm determined. It's going to happen. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
Welcome back. We're back with more Black College Experience. Okay, Kels, I got you. Let me write that ship on you, Kels. Give me just a second. Oh, boy. So we are going to jump into basketball. All right, Kels, check your email. Basketball in the SWAC. Who would have thought that the Grambling State Tigers would be number one in men's basketball in the SWAC? Southern is number 2 at 9-5, also tied with the former number 1, Arkansas Pine Bluff, who seems to be crumbling under the pressure. Prairie View and Texas Southern are both tied at 8-5. Jackson State's at 7-7. Alabama State at 6-7. Alcorn at 6-8, and Alabama A&M and our Delta Devils PPR bringing up the rear at 2011, 2-12 respectively. Kel, what do you think about Grambling's resurgence on their first-year coach?
Very, very, very impressive. Impressive to say the least. You come out with this type of thing, and I was listening to a podcast talking about them talking, and I just think that, to be a first-year coach, only thing you can hope for from this point is that you go up, that you go beyond. So I think it's very good, because even the coach that they had last year, great coach, but I can't lie. I think this is a breath of fresh air, and I think it's real good to see this type of thing, that you can come in as a first year coach and do that.
Right, and that's Coach Dante Jackson in his first year coaching the Grambling State Tigers, and I think this is the first type of deal. Grambling was near the bottom of the SWAC last year in basketball, I think. I know they were at one point, because that is the one sport that Grambling hasn't had a lot of success in. But now they are number 1, sitting at 11-3, 15-12 overall. So they have done a complete turnaround. And if Grambling wins the SWAC championship in basketball for regular season, they will not be quiet at all. We already have to hear enough about Grambling in football. But if they win the SWAC championship regular season title in basketball, and then make noise in the SWAC tournament, because if they win the SWAC regular season championship in basketball, they will be, I guess you can say, the number 1 seed and favorite to win the SWAC tournament. I mean, if they are,
they're not going to the tournament.
They're not eligible.
Oh,
they're not eligible to go to the tournament.
Thank y'all for reminding me. Well, that's oh wow. Thank y'all for reminding me, because I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like me and Patrick was like, wait.
Well, I mean, that's an unfortunate turn of events in his first season to be doing so well and not able to play in this SWAC tournament. Thank y'all for correcting my error.
So while we're here, let me ask y'all this, because I've never really dug into the whole appeal situation, and I don't want to stay on this too long, but just talking to one of their alums today, and he's talking about how they appealed the situation. And I didn't realize, of course, when Southern was in the same situation, of course, we appealed it, but nothing came from it. But from what I'm told, the kid where the APR rose, those students actually are gone or were gone, and the ones that are actually succeeding are still there. But they still got hit with APR. Can somebody break that down for me?
Well,
okay, yeah.
Go ahead, PP.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's like, okay, Valley went through this a couple years ago. Yeah, even if, like with Woods, when Woods left for Morehead State, and that's when we got hit with the APR for 2 years because the players that he ran off didn't graduate. They just, went somewhere and didn't graduate. So that hurts your APR. Apparently, that's what happened with Grambling with the coach. They just, terminated or whatever. Yeah, so that's what happened with them as far as their APR. And it's no guarantee that they're going to get off next year. It all depends upon the progress of the athletes that Keisha's talking about in question. It's whether they are on track to graduate or not.
Well, but here's something else. Like the APR is calculated when it's calculated. I understand these students they're doing well academically. What they're doing now will be calculated in the next APR. So the previous APR affects right now, and I understand that the students that are there now, they didn't have anything to do with the APR that got Grambling in this situation. I'm not an expert on APR per se, but what they're doing now will determine what happens next. If they make the scores, they hit that mark. I think it's 904. I think you have to hit that mark. I don't have it at 900. I think you have to have. I think that's the red line you have to surpass. But I think it's unfair. But hey, those are the rules. Previous years APR will affect you now. What you're doing now will get you off of the ineligible list. So what these student athletes need to continue doing now is making their grades, going to class, making the grades. I do think there needs to be some tweaks to it because if you can't make a student do his work. He has to want to. So for students that are not making the grades, man, remove them from the team. And if they're just not, there has to be a window of opportunity here because Grambling, in my eyes, with the turnaround, I would love to see them be able to play in the tourney. They're obviously the best team in this WAC. And we had this situation a few years ago when Alcorn, if they would have won, I think they would not have been able to play in the NCAA tournament. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. A few years ago. But
I think it was.
But on to results of this weekend's games. Starting on Saturday in basketball, in men's basketball, Prairie View defeated Arkansas Pine Bluff 76-71. Alcorn beats up on Alabama A&M 80-60. Grambling State beats Jackson State 71-60. But these are men's scores. Southern defeats your Jaguars. Kels defeats Alabama State 71-67. Texas Southern defeats our Delta Devils 72-71. So we played those Tigers tough, but we fell short trying to get our third win of the season. On the women's side, let's see. I think your Lady Jags are number one, Kels, and that is true. They are 11-3, followed by Texas Southern 10-3, Grambling State 10-4, Prairie View 8-5, Jack State 7-7, Bama State 6-7, Alcorn 6-8, Alabama A&M 5-8, Arkansas Pine Bluff 3-11, and our Delta Devils at 2-12. Kels, talk to us about how you feel about your Lady Jags leading the way in the SWAC women's basketball standings.
Well, it is. I don't know. Over the course of time, I have really started to watch women's basketball. And I don't know if it's the conversation that you had, but I want y'all to remember this. Just remember this saying and remember this hashtag. The future is female. Just remember it. Put it in your mind.
Well, I'm a women's basketball groupie, so I love the women's game.
When I say I listened, I saw a coach that's a former WNBA player. Her name is Coach Ednisha Curry, and I started following her on Instagram, and I saw her hashtag that says the future is female. And when I saw that hashtag, I was like, oh, my God, it's so true. And it seemed like everywhere I turn around, it's like females doing something. Well, I started watching a lot more of females basketball. Even when you're talking about, looking at Grambling, looking at Chicago Hill, just looking at different players and the momentum that they're setting. The women are setting more standards. You see, winning more games than the guys are. So, of course, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen next with the Jaguars, because even yesterday, falling to Alabama State, I didn't expect that. But, again, Alabama State, I always say this, they have one of the most solid programs, so, anything can happen with them. What I am kind of concerned with is that Jackson State had really started off really, really tough. And I was kind of surprised that this season they fell to 7-7. Or were they at 7-7
swept by Grambling
right now? That's what happened. Okay, that's what happened.
So
but I am. Go ahead.
And the scores, the season is a long season. You can start out strong, but it's all about how you finish.
Right.
Southern was the middle of the pack in the women's. Now they're number 1 right now. So
right.
But our weekend scores: Grambling defeated Jack State for the night sweep 93-89, and like you said, Bama State defeated your Jaguars 50-56. Prairie View defeated Pine Bluff 89-72, and Alcorn falls to Alabama A&M 74-63. Texas Southern blows out our Delta Devils 72-53, and those are the weekend scores. The women's game. I'm a women's basketball fan. I love the women's game. It's not the women don't play above the rim like the men do, but it's the more, I guess you could say, strategic attacking style, more threes. I guess you can say fundamentals also in the women's game. Definitely more defense in the women's game, I feel. I just love to see the women play. The women don't get as much hype as the men, and I really think we should still support their sport just as much as the men. Cause I know right. I will. Because I've been a fan of.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just a fan of women's basketball. I'm just glad to see it doing so well. Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, okay, so now, of course, what's coming up here, because regular season is getting ready to end.
Right.
So regular season is ending here, ending in all basketball. And what's happening here with, I'm in the middle of the jungle right now between Clark, Atlanta, and Morehouse. I'm in the jungle. Like, it's an all-out, when I say it's a battle, it's the battlegrounds, anything you want to call it. It's a bitter rivalry. I didn't realize it was so bitter till they had the triple overtime. I didn't realize it was that bitter. So what happens is I did get a chance to watch Clark Atlanta and Fort Valley play yesterday. Of course, Clark Atlanta, men and women, did win yesterday. Very, very good game. Once again, you talk about defense. You talk about how they play. Aggressive style of play with the guys, but the women, it was some tension in there. It gets heated, it gets hot, and you're just like, thank God this is the day that the media is not here, because we know this is what you'll put on TV. But it does, it gets aggressive, and they have the coaches. I've never before coaches were normally the coaches, male coaches dressed up. They were in suit and tie. You look on the sidelines now. Coach Yolanda Moore for Clark Atlanta and the coach from Fort Valley. These women are dressed to the T.
Exactly.
These women are dressed. Dressed. Yes. I mean, these ladies are dressed nice, and I'm like, that's why I say the future is female. Yeah, this is where this is going. The future is really female. So this week, again, you have Albany State that comes in tomorrow and plays Clark, and then Morehouse plays tomorrow. So this week is about to cut off, and then Morehouse plays Clark again. Final home game is Thursday. So what happens is if Morehouse wins tomorrow, it's like they're up for their share of the title, and then if they win on Thursday, they win the East title. But right now, ranked.
This is the men.
This is that. Yeah, that's on the men's side. Now on women's side, of course, on the East side, you have Clark Atlanta. That's 15-2, which they're 17-7 overall. But they're 15-2 in the conference. Albany State is 11-5. Claflin is 10-6. Bennett is 9-8. Fort Valley is 4-13, and Payne we'll just pray for you next season. You're 0-16 for the season. We'll pray for them. For them. Over in the West, props out to former guest Coach Louis Shine. His ladies are number one in the West. They're 14-3, so they're gunning for another title. This is the second season, back-to-back 20-win season. So right now they're sitting at 20-5. They're 14-3 and they're 20-5 overall. Spring Hill is 12-3. Lemoyne Owen is 11-6. Kentucky State is 7-10. Miles is 5-11. Tuskegee and Lane are both 5-12. So, again, for Payne, we just gonna hope it all works out for you. Next season, we're gonna hope you win one game. Taking it over to the men's basketball. Right now, of course, Morehouse is sitting first in the East. They're 16-1 with Clark Atlanta right behind them at 15-2. Claflin is 13-5. Benedict is 11-8. Fort Valley is 9-9. Albany State is 6-11, and then Payne's men are 4-14. In the West, Lane is 11-7. Central State is 10-8. Spring Hill is 7-9. Kentucky State is 7-11. Miles is 5-12. Lemoyne Owen is 5-13, and Tuskegee is 4-13. So as we can see, the women are playing. We don't know what the guys are doing, but the women are playing.
Right.
They are really doing what they're supposed to do. So we'll see what happens this week, who claims titles. But after that, starting after this week, next week, they do head over to Birmingham. The tournament does take place. Birmingham all week long. I will be going over to Birmingham for the championship game on that Saturday. I think that's March 3rd, 6th, something like that. I will be going over that weekend to check that game out.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of champions, in the track and field realm, we have some champions crowned in the SWAC, MEAC, and the CIAA. In the SWAC, Alabama State men and women's teams claimed the indoor titles. So our former guest, Brian, wasn't able to get that championship that we were hoping for him, that I was hoping for him. In the MEAC, the North Carolina A&T men and women repeat as indoor track champions. So congratulations to the Aggies. And in the CIAA, the St. Aug women win the indoor championship on the women's side. And Virginia State and St. Aug share the CIAA title indoor in the CIAA. So congratulations to all the champions as they have been crowned in the indoor track and field, because it's just awesome to see a season culminate in a championship for these student athletes. All of them, even the ones who were not able to win a title, competed to the best of their abilities. They did their schoolwork. But unfortunately, only one, or in the CIAA's case, two, when you share the title, can earn that championship. So I just want to congratulate all of the student athletes on their hard work and their championship, Kels.
I know, and it is. And I'll tell you, you got so many seniors. And the other thing, I don't know how familiar you are with Alcorn's past players and Alcorn's, people that played for Alcorn in the past. So they have a young lady that plays for Clark Atlanta. And I think she's number 13. Her name is Lauren Turner. When I say the girl is bad, the girl is bad. But I really, because yesterday she was on fire. But you said we have someone on the line?
Right. Our guest is on, so I'm going to let you introduce her.
Okay. Okay, so as I stated before, we are here again. I'm so excited about the HBCU is Rising tomorrow. That is premiering tomorrow night. But we do have Angela McCrae that is going to come on and tell us more about this film that is premiering tomorrow night. So, Angela, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Angela.
Hello, Angela.
How are you?
Welcome to Black College Experience.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to join you guys today.
Yes,
you sound so excited. I probably will be wore out by now. I probably be just wore out by now.
Well, it has been a long journey. I mean, Tell Them We Are Rising has had a very long life. I mean, we premiered the film at Sundance last year, 2017, January in Utah. They premiered there. We had a 10-campus tour all this fall. We, screened at so many different education conferences, documentary film festivals across the country, and we also just completed our marquee events. We had 5 special marquee events that were done, one in LA, one in DC, one in New York at the Apollo, and another one that just happened yesterday at the DuSable Museum in Chicago.
Wow. That's a lot of moving and shaking. And where is Stanley? Where is he? Because he's going to be the one that's just like, oh, at the end of the day.
I mean, I give it to him because he has so much energy. I mean, because in between all of this, he's also been in production for his next documentary. So, he's a trooper. He's truly a trooper. He's in Harlem. That's where he's based. Firelight Media is his company. He owns it with his wife, Marsha Smith, and they are committed to developing content for us, historical American documentaries from about the Black experience. So some of his, past films were Black Panthers, Vanguard to a Revolution, which was very highly acclaimed. It's actually on Netflix now, so you could check it out. He's also did a documentary on Emmett Till, the story of Emmett Till, freedom fighters, Black press. There's been a lot of documentaries that he's done over the last 20 years.
That's awesome.
Okay, so,
I mean, because Emmett Till hits home for me. I am from Mississippi, so you say his Emmett Till documentary is on Netflix?
No, the Black Panthers, Vanguard to a Revolution, that one's actually the one that's on Netflix.
Okay, I will definitely be checking that out because my TV stays on Netflix. So I will definitely check that out because come November, I will be shutting off my cable and all I will be watching is Netflix. So tell him to put as much of his work on Netflix as he can so I can have something to watch.
Understand that. Well, let's make sure you keep that PBS. That's public media, so you don't get cable for that because, the documentary premieres tomorrow, so we got to make sure you're tuned in because a lot of his documentaries actually are part of PBS programming.
Okay, so for people that haven't seen this, give us a little. I mean, of course, like I said, I saw it, but give us a little bit of background of what HBCU Rising is, what it talks about, what it deals with, and what people can expect to see tomorrow.
Okay, yeah. So HBCU Rising is a multi-platform campaign around the film Tell Them We Are Rising, the story of Black colleges and universities. So tomorrow is the first ever feature documentary around the history of Black colleges in America. And what we want people to really gain from the film is to get an understanding of the rich history and the film, how the film it chronicles the years from slavery all the way up to today, and to get us excited about what to expect for the future and also mobilizes the community. So I think, some of the themes that'll be hit on is, of course, Thurgood Marshall and his efforts when it came to, the Howard Law School. You also will see themes around protests with North Carolina A&T, along with the fatal protests that happened at Southern. You get a bunch of great history that a lot of us don't know. I mean, we actually had an opportunity to screen the film at Southern University during their homecoming week, and a lot of the students were unaware of the two young students that were actually killed on campus. So we just want to make sure that people. Go ahead. I'm sorry. We just want to make sure that people understand that these institutions are a part of American history, and they are the foundation for the Black middle class. They were the first introduction to education for slaves back in about 150 plus years ago, and just understand that this is the pipeline towards success for Black people in America.
Absolutely, and I think I've had this because, of course, I'm Southern University. And I've had this conversation. We've had this conversation because, of course, I call myself old Southern because I was late 90s. So I call myself old Southern, of course, to what's now. And we have this conversation all the time. And I say this so many times. We need to have a course teaching about Smith and Brown. I really believe that we do, because what happens is, even in that documentary, seeing what happens is we had heard this story and we had saw that footage probably a couple of months before. So to actually see it, and then to actually see it on a screen, it took a lot out of a lot of us. It took, like, we heard the story, but to actually see it, it took a lot out of us. And a lot of us know, like, you have like our old baseball coach, Coach Kador. He was at Southern at that time. He just went off campus. My actual chapter president was a freshman at that time. So, it was a lot of stuff that it's a lot of history that you see in that actual film, and you're just like, really? It does. It takes you back. It takes you back.
Absolutely. So and there's, and these type of incidences have occurred on other campuses. So, Southern wasn't the first, killing, on a HBCU campus. However, during the process of Stanley doing the research, I mean, it took him, close to 10 years to, complete this documentary, from conception to completion. And so during that process, you're getting so much history. I mean, 150 years of, spanning over 105 universities. And so one of the things that helped curate the story was just the content itself. Where did the rich video, where did the rich photos, what can help guide the story so that way it's compelling to audiences? And it wasn't really about leaving out any other campuses, but it was really about formulating a very strong story that can actually, educate as well as move people.
So this is always my question. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
My question is always, we have this debate all the time, HBCU versus PWIs. And, people chose, when they had this whole Twitter chat on Friday that we were all engaged in. And a lot of times, people have their various reasons as to why they chose HBCUs, and people have their reasons as to why they chose PWIs. How important is it for us to dispel this myth that PWIs are better than HBCUs, or how important is it for the HBCU name, the brand, to be out there for us to expose the community, the culture as a whole?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I think this is something that is a part of our culture, and that's what matters the most. The reason why this is not a debatable topic is because HBCUs were the foundation to allow Black students to even attend PWIs. I mean, HBCUs are historical institutions that are the fabric of American culture. And I think that's where the conversation needs to, in the competition and the, comparison needs to end. I mean, it's just, recognizing these historic institutions and the talent that they've created that's allowed and created opportunities for generations to even have the options to attend PWIs. I mean, for a lot of Black people in America, their first generation college students were only able to attend HBCUs, whether it was our grandparents, our great-grandparents, or even someone like me. I mean, I was the first generation college student, and for me, Morgan State, was the option, was the only option for me, based, with in-state tuition. It was, the resources. It was also, just being able to cater to, my background and give me the extra push that I needed to be a successful student and now, a professional woman. So I think it's not about which one is better. It's just about understanding the legacy and the role the HBCUs play in this country.
I also want to chime in on that statement, because of course everyone looks at how much money you have. That makes you better. We know PWIs have the money, but you know what? HBCUs, we do what we have. We do well with what we have. We may not have as much money as some of the PWIs, but look at some of the HBCU graduates and the HBCU institutions who have flourished and are continuing to flourish without having equal footing financially. Imagine if we did have equal footing financially, then who would be saying who's number one? I mean, we just talked about this earlier in our show. The cast of Black Panther has an HBCU alum. He's the star. There's no PWI guy who's the star of that movie. It's Chadwick Boseman, a Howard alum. So everyone wants to look at it and say, oh, PWIs are better because they have more money, they can offer you more. Well, HBCUs, we can offer something that a PWI can't. I mean, we can offer you being more than a number, where your professors know you, where your professors would definitely take an interest in you being successful, where they will give you chances to redeem yourself if you do make mistakes. You're not just a number at an HBCU, you're a person. And, sometimes having the most money doesn't make you better. I mean, when I was coming up, I was thinking about going to a PWI, but I'm glad I went to an HBCU. I got the education that I needed to make me the man that I am today. Would I have been successful at Mississippi State? Of course, but I would not be the man that I am today had I not chosen to go to an HBCU. I would have been a different person. Going to an HBCU gave me an experience that I would not have had at a PWI. So in that regard, for me, and HBCU is better. So
I hear that, brother.
So
what you say? Oh, you said I hear you, brother.
Yeah, we do have Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say we do have a call on the line, area code 225, last 4, 1950. You on with Black College Experience. We have our guest, Angela McCrae, who is a part of the HBCU Rising Project. That's what we're discussing. Go ahead, caller, with your question.
Good evening. How y'all doing today?
Oh, okay, Keisha, you know who that is, don't you? You know that voice, right?
Sound like Willie.
That is the one and only Willie Scott, another Southern University Jaguar. How you doing,
Hello,
Willie?
Willie. How are you?
It's kind of loud where I am. I'm here right now working the baseball game.
Okay. Well, we're talking about the film HBCU Rising, Willie. You're an HBCU graduate. Talk to us about your HBCU experience and what the film HBCU Rising means to you.
Well, my HBCU experience is very similar to yours, Derek. I wouldn't say highly recruited, but I was recruited by several different schools coming out of high school to play football and run track. And I chose Southern University because it was a family environment. I had an uncle that graduated and played basketball for Alcorn. I had another uncle that graduated and played football for Jackson State. And I had another uncle, and my cousins graduated and played football for Grambling State University. And it was just, HBCU was in the family. And I was told by my uncle that I was an individual, not a number. And that's one thing at Southern University. We were people. We wasn't number 1675 or number 32 in your class. We were actually individuals in numbers. My experience was a little bit different because I was an athlete, and a lot of things that some people went through at HBCUs as far as registration lines and different things that actually teaches you patience, teaches you the pride of life. And Keisha knows what I'm talking about Southern University registration lines. I actually honestly never experienced that because my class was done for me. But as far as overall HBCU experience, it's nothing like it. I mean, if you think about some of the songs of our bands that our bands play right now, a lot of the PWIs try to emulate and play. Being a graduate of HBCU is one of the best experiences and the best choices that I made in my life was to go to Southern University.
Yes, indeed. PP, you have any questions for Angela or about the HBCU Rising film?
No, sir, I don't. I actually called to give y'all an update about baseball at Southern University. We have a new coach in Baton Rouge, and we're being coached for the first time in several years. It's going to be an amazing experience on the Bluff this year in Southern University baseball.
Wow. So basically, Southern University is rising like the film HBCU rising. So, new coach brings new experiences. So
I like how you tied that in.
Hey, I mean, that's something I like to do, man. I mean, I guess we'll see. I think Valley gonna beat y'all though. So, man, how you like that?
Hey man, y'all might beat us in badminton or checkers or y'all can't beat us in bowling. So we'll talk about it another
your microphone. But Angela, we talk noise on this show also, especially when Willie gets on. Me and him have a Valley versus Southern rivalry, which of course I'm on the bad end, except for a 6-0 victory in 2012 on your home football field. But we like to talk noise on here. So I mean, with you being an HBCU alum, we definitely know about talking noise with HBCU alums.
Oh, absolutely, and it's all in fun. I totally get it.
So,
what school does she attend?
I'm gonna let her answer that.
I graduated from Oregon State in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay. I ran track against Morgan State when I was in college.
I'm sorry?
I said we ran against Morgan State when I was in college.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, touring the South, and I've had a chance to go to FAMU and a lot of campuses I've never attended, and the HBCU culture is definitely different. I'm going to be honest with you. And
yes.
And it was something that I was really astonished by, because when I was at Morgan, I was there from 97 to 01. It wasn't a lot of Greek, Greek presence there. I mean, you saw the benches and you saw the areas, but there wasn't a lot of strolling and things like that. I went to FAMU for our screening there, and I was on the set. I was at the set, which they have in their main yard. Every Friday they have a live DJ. They do the Greek strolls, a full day party from 3 to 5, and it was amazing. It was full of energy, and I hadn't experienced that before, except for homecoming. So
oh yeah, so that would be our Wednesday, Willie. That'd be our Pretty Wednesday.
We would have to invite you to Pretty Wednesday on the campus of Southern University.
Yeah, that'll be Pretty Wednesday for Southern University.
And it starts at 8 a.m. in the morning and it ends when everybody go to bed.
I know that's right. Oh, I know at Morgan we had something what we called the bridge. So every day for you to get from your dorm to the campus, the main campus, you had to cross this bridge. And any given day, that bridge can probably hold maybe 500 people, and they would just be hanging out. But it would never be a D-Day. There wouldn't be any real culture, HBCU culture, but it would just more so be just people watching, a fashion show. But when I was on Southern campus and Jackson State's campus and FAMU, touring with Southern We Are Rising, I totally felt like I was really getting the heart of a true HBCU experience.
So I take it you didn't go to my alma mater in the Delta, huh? That's an HBCU experience.
What
out
school is
there
that?
roughing it.
What school did you go to?
Mississippi Valley State University, and I got my line brother on here with me, so I'm not outnumbered tonight. That's a true HBCU experience where you're out there roughing it. You don't have a city around you.
Well, Derek, I mean, there's nothing in Mississippi. There's nothing in Itta Bena but Mississippi Valley. So, I mean, I understand why y'all are close knit because there's nothing there. Yeah, there's nothing there. I mean, I think when we travel there for football, we got to stay cities away because there's nothing there. I mean,
I'm gonna mute your microphone. You keep talking. You keep talking about my school here. But the thing is,
I wouldn't dare talk about your school.
Each HBCU experience.
The thing about it is, though,
each HBCU experience has something to offer. Each school. I mean, that's why we're all unique in what we offer, and I can't wait to watch this film. I love watching documentaries, especially documentaries on HBCUs, because I feel like it's telling my story on where I went to school or my HBCU experience. I can relate to probably a lot that's going on in the movie. Like when I was watching the HBCU documentary on the NFL Network, I mean, I could resonate with those athletes were going through because, Jerry Rice went to Valley. Mel Blount Southern, so I could resonate with what those athletes went through as far as going to an HBCU versus a PWI. So,
and I could tell you from first-hand experience from being an athlete, even in my day, which was well after Mel Blount and Jerry Rice, but I mean, we were treated differently. And I learned that from running track. The 2 years I did, and when we would go to the PWIs, I mean, we would get sent to the bathrooms to change, not a locker room. We wouldn't have actual tents set up like they would do other schools. We would have to bring our own, and it's a different experience. Even a year ago when Prairie View A&M traveled to, I'm not gonna call the name of the school, but traveled to PWI, they actually wouldn't even let them use their locker rooms. They put them in a tent on the side of the stadium around where fans go and everything. And I mean, and this is in 2017.
Right.
So the thing is with us being a PWI, if we don't stick together as HBCUs, no matter one thing, and I love one thing that Keisha always says, it's called One Hillman. If we don't stick together and promote ourselves and take ourselves to the next level, they won't. They want to close us down. They don't want us to succeed or be prosperous. They don't want us to see us do the things that we do academically and athletically. They do not want to see those things. And I think about things that an old gentleman told me years ago. If you take away the African-American athletes, you take away the African-American scholars for some of these PWI schools, what would you have?
Right.
These schools wouldn't be and do the things that they do. I mean, you got to think about Alabama. Nick Saban is the best college football coach in America. But you take away the African Americans off their football team. Right. Do Alabama have 15 or 16 national championships? No, they won't.
Right. Right.
They would be losing the HBCU schools on a year-round basis.
To HBCU. You bring those athletes to the HBCU, and then you got to look at the things that HBCU does, because football is a little different, but basketball, track, baseball is pretty equal and even that a HBCU can beat a PWI if they play.
All right. Right. Well, to answer your question, Willie, what Alabama would be doing? What would Alabama be doing if the African American athlete went to HBCUs? They would be losing to HBCUs. That's what they would be doing. They would be lusing.
Yes.
I have one more question for Angela about the film.
Yeah, before we wrap it up.
Yeah. Angela, tell us. Okay. Talk to us about what someone who hasn't seen the film can expect to see in this film.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, they'll be able to find out the history of the protests on Southern campus. They'll be able to get a deeper dive into the thoughts and the theories behind Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. They'll be able to, get a greater context to the history of HBCUs from slavery up until today. They'll be able to hear testimonials from current students or recent graduates about their experience, some of which are students that, grew up that were, in predominantly white environments where all their teachers were white. And, this was their first introduction of being immersed into Black, culture and, and just getting a sense of, community and how, throughout the generations. There's a nod to HBCU love in the film. It's an amazing film that touches on a lot of different things. So I think it'll resonate with each person, no matter if they're current students or if they're first generation from and graduated from the 1940s. But one thing that I definitely want to make sure that we cover here is because we're in the age of digital. We want to make sure that we gather a greater HBCU community together tomorrow. So we're claiming tomorrow as HBCU Rising Day, and even though most people may acknowledge President's Day tomorrow, we definitely want to make sure that HBCUs come to the national spotlight because of this documentary and because of the legacy and historical value that these institutions have played in American history. I think, with the current administration and some of the mishaps that's happened over the past year regarding HBCUs, I think it's more important now than ever that we really have solidarity of, for our institutions that we've, in our campuses and our alma maters, and making sure that we show our allegiance and show our respect to these institutions by having a greater understanding and joining this larger conversation around the film and the future of HBCUs. So what we're doing is we have the Twitter chat. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Sean King. He's a social activist.
Very much.
Morehouse. Right. Yes, so he's going to be actually hosting our East Coast broadcast Twitter chat. So if you guys want to follow him and just engage, he's going to pose some really thoughtful questions that are directly tied to the film during moments in the film, as well as just greater questions to try to get people's perspective on their HBCU experience. And I think, for people that didn't attend HBCUs, I still think they need to see this film because it's a part of American history. And it's a very powerful, visual representation of what Black people in America had to go through in order to demand their education. And I think that's something that gets lost. Right now we have options, and that's great. But we have to also pay respect to the people that sacrificed so much, which included their lives. Civil rights era was birthed on HBCU campuses, and that's something that we can never forget. And I think that's something that gets overshadowed a lot of the time. So this is an ode to civil rights, to social justice, to equal education, equal resources, as well as just culture. It's a beautiful visual montage of just art, music, and fashion that just kind of shows how we've shaped American culture. And I mean, this can be debatable, but there's a lot of people out there that says that the original American culture is Black culture.
Yep.
So make sure you use HBCU Rising as your hashtag tomorrow and share photos wearing your HBCU colors, your campus letters, and just join this greater conversation on Twitter and Instagram.
And we really do appreciate you for coming on, sharing this with us. Of course, I'm still going to be pushing the agenda via Twitter, via Facebook, via Instagram, of course, my personal page. So we're going to keep pushing the agenda. Again, I remember when this first started, looking at where it is now. Of course, again, I'm overwhelmed. I'm super excited. I done pulled out my water mug, my bag, and everything to carry tomorrow just for GP. Just going to have a whole agenda tomorrow. But I think going to sleep knowing this, before I let you go, I think the most overwhelming feeling for me is that our story is finally being told. It's finally being told. We seeing HBCU athletes. That story has been told. Now the story of HBCUs is being told, and that's been my dream for so many years, is that if they can just hear the story, because if we don't tell it, nobody else will. So again, Angela, we do appreciate you for coming on, telling us, talking to us, and explaining to us what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm excited for everybody else to see it. And, of course, we will be on Twitter following to see what's going on.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate being here today. It's so nice meeting you, Willie. And I'm sorry, I didn't get the other gentleman's name, but Keisha, thank you so much. Now, Larry?
Derek.
I'm sorry, Derek. So, yes, thank you so much for allowing me to come on and join you guys in the conversation and giving the film a platform to reach your community.
Right. And like I said, you're a family now, so you don't have to have an invite to call in every week. If you want to call in and talk about Morgan State athletics or anything going on in the HBCU realm, feel free to call in and share with us your opinions on what's going on in the HBCU world.
Thank you so much. Well, I think Morgan's better known for their engineering program in our brand new hospitality building, multi-million-dollar hospitality building, and all the great technology that's coming out of that school, and more. But I definitely would love to have that topic be there, because there's a lot of great, amazing people. We had Angel Rich from I think she graduated from Howard. She was actually on one of our panels. Actually, no, she graduated from Hampton. I'm sorry, I misspoke. She graduated from Hampton, and she's Forbes. Top Forbes. She's been covering on. They call her the next Steve Jobs. So watch out for her. That's a Hamptonite, by the name of Angel Rich. She's doing some amazing things in the tech space.
Yes, indeed. So that's the end of our show, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to catch us next week, as we will be back with more Black College Experience and giving you all of the HBCU tidbits and the athletic, academic, and social and the entertainment world. Kels, go ahead and give your parting shots.
All right, we will catch you again next week. Be sure to tune in. Of course, we're going to see what's going to happen as basketball does wrap up this week. We have a lot going on, of course, and baseball has kicked off. We have tennis. We have softball. So we're going to see what's going to happen this week coming up. Again, make sure y'all tune in tomorrow to HBCU Rising. That is tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. For me, of course, I'm going to say 8 p.m. Central Time. And also, if you're over in Atlanta, Georgia at 7 p.m., head over to the Fox Theater. Again, they are showing, with Spike Lee, they are showing School Days. So I'm here in Atlanta, so my schedule is busy tomorrow, 7, 9. My life is over tomorrow, but by 12 o'clock, I'll be fine. So that's our show. We'll see y'all next week. Good night.
Good night, everyone.